Lecture number 19, Part C, month of April, Section 7, Chapter 4. An account on battles of the fourth Caliph. In this section, we are going to learn about Battle Jamal and change of capital. Number 2, Battle Siffin and arbitration. Battle Nahrawan. Number 3, fall of Egypt is the last topic in this section of the battles. Okay, Battle Jamal is another name is Battle of Camels and Battle of Basra. Jamal is actually an Arabic name of the camel. And in this battle, Hazrat Ali was against the forces of Hazrat Aisha Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu. Reason of the battle? That Hazrat Aisha Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu along with Hazrat Talha and Zubair wanted to take revenge of the Hazrat Usman's assassination, which Hazrat Ali Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu initially declined. So the armies were Hazrat Ali forces prepared by Hazrat Hassan Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, and he particularly gathered to collect the forces from the sides of Kufa, and he was able to collect around 10,000 men. Hazrat Aisha, Hazrat Talha, Hazrat Zubair were leading their forces and particularly collected the army from the sides of Medina and all over Arab. Place of battle is Basra, that's why this battle is also known as Battle of Basra. Okay, negotiations before the battle. Hazrat Ali had high regards for Hazrat Aisha, and he firstly sent Prophet's companion in order to convince her that soon Hazrat Ali will punish the murderers. Due to non-availability of evidence, he had to delay. These terms were accepted by Hazrat Aisha, but revolts or the Kharijites considered this peace pact as their doom and attacked both armies, it means the parties of Hazrat Aisha and Hazrat Ali, at night. And the result of the battle that Muslims on the side of Hazrat Ali were victorious. It is considered to be the first battle in which Muslims were fighting against the Muslims. Event of the battle. During night, both forces were attacked and a fierce battle started. Hazrat Aisha mounted a camel to lead the battle. In this battle, thousands of Muslims were killed. Hazrat Talha and Zubair, who were with the Hazrat Aisha Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anha, they left the battlefield but were killed by the mischief makers. The next target of the revolts was Hazrat Aisha. They wounded her camel and brought it down. But she was safe, and afterwards Hazrat Ali had reconciliation and sent Hazrat Aisha respectfully back to Medina, it is reported, with her brother. So the consequences of the first battle that Hazrat Aisha Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anha felt regretted for the bloodshed of Muslims, and she never participated again in any political issue. Hazrat Ali's caliphate came to be acknowledged by the entire Muslim world except the Syria, because this particularly place was under the hold of Hazrat Muawiyah Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu. And this was the first civil war between the Muslims. Change of capital from Medina to Kufa. After Battle of Jamal in 36 Hijri, Hazrat Ali decided to change or transfer his headquarters from Medina to Kufa. And there are several reasons which we are going to learn, but before that we must know that Hazrat Umar Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, he himself settled some people into the cantonments on the Iranian borders, and these people were later emerged as the Kharijites. So these people were into the Kufa, and during the time of the fourth Caliphate period, they supported Hazrat Ali in the two initial battles, and later they themselves emerged as a different group or as an individual sect. So now here we are learning more points about the change of the capital. As after this battle Jamal, he was greeted by the people of Kufa who supported him in this battle, and 7 months after the taking charge of this new government, Hazrat Ali Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu made Kufa his new capital. Now the reasons that these particularly people helped Hazrat Ali, and he also did not want Medina to become the locale of political disturbances at any time, because this was the first place where Holy Prophet himself established the Islamic Empire, and he wanted to save the city of the Prophet from destruction and desecration in the possible wars of the future. Another major reason that Kufa had a more central position in the empire, administrative facility of the vast and sprawling territories dictated this change. It was also easier for Hazrat Ali Raziyallahu Ta'ala Anhu to watch the movements of Hazrat Muawiyah from Kufa than from Medina, because Kufa is the nearest spot from the Syria. Therefore, he wanted to change his capital. Next major second battle or the second civil war is the Battle of Siffin. In this battle, Hazrat Ali is against the forces of Hazrat Muawiyah Radhiyallahu Ta'ala Anhu. Battle Siffin, the reason was same, that emergence of the Umayyads dynasty, and they also wanted to take the revenge of Usman's assassination. Armies Hazrat Ali 80,000 and Hazrat Muawiyah, he collected his forces from Syria, Iran, Iraq also joined with him. Negotiations before battle. Hazrat Ali did not want Muslim bloodshed, so he wrote to Muawiyah that those who accepted the caliphate of Hazrat Abu Bakr, Umar and Usman had accepted me. So Muawiyah and his followers should accept him too. But the response was against the Hazrat Ali, that he said that to hand over the Usman's assassin to him before any negotiations. Before this war, revolts accused Hazrat Ali for being an accomplice in Usman's murder. Also, they said that Hazrat Talha and Zubair were martyred and they were taking revenge from Hazrat Ali, which was not a correct statement. And also, Hazrat Ali had ill-treated Hazrat Aisha, but we have seen or learned in the Battle Jamal that he had reconciliation with Hazrat Aisha and he himself sent her to Medina with her brother. This is the place of the battle in which we can see clearly that from the Medina, Kufa is far, and the Siffin, it is a nearby spot which is in the areas of the Syria. Event of the battle. The two armies camped at Siffin were the largest armies so far assembled in the history of Islam. The rival soldiers faced each other for several months. Occasional skirmishes took place, but no decisive battle. In between, Hazrat Ali Radhiyallahu Ta'ala Anhu again offered to negotiate, but all went in vain and they prepared themselves for the war on 8th Safar, 37th Hijri. On the fourth day, position of Muawiyah's army began worsening. In order to avoid defeat, on the consultation of Amr bin As Radhiyallahu Ta'ala Anhu, he was on the side of Hazrat Muawiyah. Hazrat Muawiyah ordered the soldiers to fasten the Quran on their lances in order to seize the war. This was particularly a trick used by the forces or the revolts of the forces of the Hazrat Muawiyah Radhiyallahu Ta'ala Anhu in order to seize the war. But Hazrat Ali Radhiyallahu Ta'ala Anhu did not respond to their propaganda, but the revolts on the sides of Hazrat Ali or the Kharijites, they compelled him to accept the terms. Thus, the victorious battle remained indecisive. And it is said to be the biggest civil war in which Hazrat Ali Radhiyallahu Ta'ala Anhu could have achieved the victory. Consequences of the battle and arbitration. Arbitration is particularly a decision in which between two parties a person is hired to make the decision according to the particular terms and laws. After battle, it was decided that matter will be referred to the arbitrators and they will settle the dispute in accordance with the Quran and Sunnah. This decision will be announced in month of Ramadan, and Amr bin As selected on behalf of Hazrat Muawiyah and Abu Musa Ash'ari on behalf of Hazrat Ali. After signing this treaty, Hazrat Ali left for Kufa from Siffin with a heavy heart that one generation after the demise of Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, left its unity and its Islamic character. From this battle, the first Muslim sect created. Now, the real faces of Kharijites are actually revealed after the Battle of Siffin, when they see that both sides of the Muslim are now begin to have the peace treaty. What they did, they deserted with 12,000 men from the Muslim forces and said that we do not accept the terms or the decision of the arbitrators. Both arbitrators met at Damatul Jandal. It is a place between Kufa and Damascus. Both arbitrators, it means Amr bin As and Abu Musa Ash'ari, they announced that Hazrat Ali and Hazrat Muawiyah will be deposed and new caliph will be announced or will be selected by the public. But at this particular moment, Hazrat Amr bin As also said and declared that Muawiyah will retain his post. And this was a one-sided decision which particularly shocked Hazrat Ali. Therefore, as Hazrat Ali has signed the treaty, but he had to abandon this treaty as it was one-sided decision. He was left with no choice but to fight with Muawiyah Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu. Next, the major battle is Battle of Nahrawan. It is against the Kharijites. Reason: Kharijites rejected the arbitration and rebelled against Hazrat Ali. They accused Ali of apostasy for agreeing to arbitration and not judging with the book of God. It means they themselves declare Hazrat Ali as he did not accept the decisions of the Quran or the Sunnah, but what he did, he focused on the decision of arbitrators. The spread of Kharijites in the Muslim land and their created problems were now intolerable for Hazrat Ali. Therefore, he had to conduct this battle, and the Battle of Nahrawan was conducted against the Kharijites. Armies Hazrat Ali Kharijites were outnumbered. Place of the battle, Nahrawan. Event: Hazrat Ali moved against the Muawiyah actually, but he had to first encounter Kharijites. Hazrat Ali inflicted a crushing defeat on them. A few dozens managed to escape while rest killed on the battlefield. Result: this was a decisive victory for Hazrat Ali, but it also diverted his attention from Hazrat Muawiyah Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu. After this battle, he moved towards Hazrat Muawiyah Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu, and that was when fall of Egypt occurred. In this battle, Hazrat Ali's troops disobeyed his orders and deserted him. It means they rejected the orders of the Caliph, and also they deserted or moved back with the forces. Hazrat Muawiyah took the advantage of this disobedience of a whole scenario. He asked Amr bin As to invade the Egypt, as the Egypt governor was the new governor who was appointed by Hazrat Ali. The governor defeated by Amr, and Egypt came under the sway of Hazrat Muawiyah Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu. Result: fall of Egypt was a serious loss to the fourth caliph. After this, rebellion broke out all over the land. To cease further ignorance, further spread, Hazrat Ali had to conclude a treaty with Hazrat Muawiyah Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu. It was decided that Syria and Egypt, which was conquered by Hazrat Muawiyah, will be ruled by Hazrat Muawiyah, and the rest Muslim countries will be ruled by Hazrat Ali Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu. Martyrdom and administration. Planning of Kharijites. In this section now we are going to learn how these Kharijites planned to murder Hazrat Ali Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu, as they had already assassinated Hazrat Usman. Background. The era of Hazrat Ali's caliphate was marked by civil strife. It means throughout his caliphate period, he was facing particularly Muslims against the Muslims, and he had a number of civil wars like Battle Jamal and Battle Siffin. He nevertheless introduced a number of reforms, particularly in the levying and the collecting of the revenues. In the 40th Hijri, Kharijites, consisting of people who had broken away from him due to his compromise with Hazrat Muawiyah, that means after the fall of Egypt when he had a treaty, they claimed that neither Ali, the caliph, nor Muawiyah, the ruler of Syria, nor Amr bin As, the ruler of Egypt, were worthy of rule. It means they did not want any of the Muslim ruler to be their head. They went so far as to say that the true caliphate came to an end with Umar, and that Muslims should live without any ruler over them except God. It means they themselves decided that Hazrat Umar was only worthy of rule. They vowed to kill all three rulers, and assassins were dispatched in three directions. So this was the actual planning of Kharijites, that they wanted to kill Hazrat Muawiyah, Hazrat Amr bin As, and Hazrat Ali, because they did not accept their ruling over them. Day of Martyrdom. Assassins first attempt to kill Hazrat Muawiyah Raziyallahu Ta'ala anhu. They wounded him deeply, but he was able to survive. Next target was Amr bin As. Instead of him, they killed another imam who was leading the prayer. as he was not present in the mosque same day. Now, third was Ibn Muljim. He particularly accomplished the task one morning when Hazrat Ali was absorbed in prayer in a mosque. Ibn Muljim stabbed him with a poisoned sword, and on the 21st of Ramadan, 40th Hijri, died the last caliph of Islam. Administration. Hazrat Ali could not get chance to pay attention towards the administrative system of Muslim empire, and reason was pretty clear that he was busy or engaged in the civil wars. He truly deserves to be credited for crushing the emerging Muslim Ummah and for the sects and the teachings. This is particularly regarded to Hazrat Ali that he took the major step against the emerging sects of the Muslim. Just a few exceptions he had in his period. For example, change of the governors, which he did initially after assuming the office of the caliphate, and his change of the capital from Medina to Kufa. And we have learned that it was particularly done for the reasons that he could notice the movements of the Hazrat Muawiyah. And also he wanted to save the territories of Medina from any civil war. Many fortresses and cantonments built in his reign. He was very particular about the goods prices in the market. It means the products that were about to sell in the market. And he also particularly looked after the state treasurer, and he kept particular checks on the officers that were appointed for the provinces, and he used to take care of the non-Muslims as well. Now we are going to have an overview of all the caliphate periods. Hazrat Abu Bakr's caliphate, it was mostly occupied with the Ridda or apostasy wars. It means the false prophet claimed. And Hazrat Umar's caliphate period, it was actually a continuation of Hazrat Abu Bakr's campaign, but also the intention was to extend the Muslim empire. Especially he took the hold of the Byzantine and the Persian empire, and he set the strong administrative system. Hazrat Usman's caliphate period, in this period rebels were introduced, wars with them, and the major reason due to the loss of the Persian and the Byzantine empires. In his period, expansion of Muslim empire also occurred from North Africa till Kabul, or from Morocco to till Kabul. Revolts had three major charges against him, and particularly he was sieged and killed. Now, the last caliph Hazrat Ali's caliphate period is particularly occupied with the Kharijites, revolts or the development of the new sects, Muslims fighting with the Muslims, and disunity in the Muslim Ummah.